Yep, we're working. Okay, y'all. All right, so our warm-up for today deals with factoring, which is what we've been learning, okay? So you will definitely have factoring, quadratics, those type of things on your ACT. The first one says, if A and B are the two values of t that satisfy the equation t squared minus 6t plus 8 equals 0, with A greater than B, what are the values of A minus B? So they're asking you to solve this because they want the solutions, the two values that satisfy the equation. So we're looking for the solutions. Then when you find those solutions, you're going to subtract them, okay? So this works just like with what we've been doing with x squared. It's just t squared. So that doesn't make any difference in the scheme of things. It's already equal to 0, so it's in standard form. That's done for you. So the only thing that you need to do is create yourself a box. What goes in the top left-hand box? T squared. And in the bottom box, 8, positive 8. What are the factors of positive 8 that give you a sum of negative 6? Good. So it's got to be the 2 and 4, but they need to both be negative. A negative times a negative gives you a positive when you multiply. So that's how you get positive 8. But when you add negative 2 plus negative 4, that's how you get the negative 6. Okay. So from there, you're going to take out your greatest common factors. So from this row, it's going to be a t. From this row, it's going to be negative 4. That row, it's going to be t. And this row is going to be negative 2. So what are the factors? Good. And either way is fine. Like I heard people say, you know, vice versa. It doesn't matter if you do -4 first or -2 first. It's not a big deal. But they don't want the factors, they want you to solve them out. They want the solutions. So you're going to take each one of these and set each one equal to 0. Okay? How do we get t by itself? Add 4, which means t equals 4. That's one of our solutions. Then we're going to add 2. So t equals 2. So your two solutions are 4 and 2. And they tell you that A is greater than B, and then to subtract A minus B. So how are we going to do the subtraction? 4 minus 2 or 2 minus 4? Good. So what's 4 minus 2? Your answer is F. Make sure you show that work. Okay, I am giving you points for doing these. You will not turn them in this Thursday, but next. So you'll have 2 weeks of bell ringers. You'll turn those in. Those are just free points for you. All you have to do is write it down, show your work. Okay. Number 4 says a regular rectangular box has 2 sides whose lengths are 3 centimeters and 9 centimeters and a volume of 135 centimeters cubed. What is the area of the largest size? So we're dealing with a box. Do you know how to find the volume of a box? Length times width times height. Okay, and that's going to give you the volume of the box. Remember, volume is like how much you can fill something up with. Okay, so it's like a swimming pool. Okay, the volume that a swimming pool can hold is how much water you can feel and all of the pool be filled. Same thing with this room. This room is a rectangle, length times width times height. Well, the volume is how much we can fill this to the top. Okay, if we filled it up with water or air or whatever it is. The area is just the space, the floor space. That's the area. Okay, how many floor tiles does it take to put in this room? That's area. Okay, so we're doing length times width times height. They told us that the volume is 135. So we have the whole thing. We can plug that in for the V. And then they tell us that two sides are 3 and 9. We don't know which ones. It doesn't matter. We have one unknown. And I'll just put the height there. Or if you didn't want to put the height there, you could just put the letter X to represent an unknown. We don't know one of the other sides. So to solve this out, what's the first thing I need to do? 3 times 9, which is 27. Okay. Now what do I need to do? Good. They're multiplying, so you want to divide. Do the opposite operation. So I divide by 27. Somebody do that math for me. What's 135 divided by 27? 5. So that means our other side is 5. So the dimensions are 3 by 5 by 9. That's the dimensions of our rectangle. Now, it wants to know what's the area of the largest side. So the dimensions of the largest side are going to be 5 by 9. Okay, that's going to be the largest. 5 is greater than 3. So 5 by 9 is going to be the largest side. So how do you find the area of the largest side? Yeah, you just do length times width. Okay, so the area is going to be 9 times 5 or 5 times 9, either way, which is going to give me what? 45. That's it. All right, so again, this is all about prepping for the ACT. Mr. Badgley has told us that if you plan on taking the ACT at Byrd in December, next month, that you need to sign up like ASAP because there's only like 27 spots left for Byrd. So if that's something that you're wanting to do, you need to go ahead and get signed up for that. If you don't know how to do that, your counselor can help you, but everything's done on act.org. You have to set up an account. You need your school code, all of that stuff. There's like a survey kind of stuff. You do all of that, and then you can sign up for your ACT. Okay, once you do it the first time, you'll have it done for the rest of the time. So it takes a little bit of time to initially set up your account, but once you set up your account, then it's pretty easy from there, okay? Now, if you have not taken the ACT, I do suggest that you at least do it one time before you take it in March. You'll take it at school. Everyone here in here is a junior, right? No, I have some sophomores. Okay, the sophomores, this isn't for you. My juniors, you will take it in March, okay? So if you've never taken it as a junior, I do suggest that you take it before that test in March, or at least plan on taking it after, okay? Don't just take the ACT one time. Like, don't just get your score and be like, okay, that's what I'm going to get, because you do better your second time, okay? Almost everybody does better their second time taking the test. So don't just get your first score and be like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to have a 20. That's pretty good. Like, you need to take it again, okay? Because usually everyone does better their second time. So if you can't get it in before the March date, do plan on taking it again in the summer or some other time so that you can at least have 2 ACT scores. I mean, heck, I think I took it like 4 or 5 times. But like, I knew, like, for my school, like, I knew where I wanted to go, and like they have like tiers of scholarships or whatever, and to get to that second level of scholarships, I had to get a certain score. So I was like determined to get that score. So I kind of took it a bunch. But you got to kind of make those decisions on what you want to do, where you want to go to school, that kind of stuff. Okay? Any questions about any of that? No? Okay. We are back in our textbook today, back in our springboard book. We are going to be working on lesson 7-4. Okay, so lesson 7-4 is what we're going to be working on. We do have a quiz this week. Let me go to that and show you the module so you know what's going on. Y'all know I plan everything out on the Friday before, so I have everything planned for this week. We are in week 12. Y'all realize we have this week, next week, and then it's Thanksgiving break. So you have like this Monday, next Monday, and then Thanksgiving break. So that's exciting. Today we've got lessons and notes for this. Tomorrow you'll take your quiz, and then we're right back into lessons and notes. Okay, now this is a quadratic quiz. It's going to cover graphing. Okay, graphing will be on there, factoring will be on there, and then solving by factoring will be on there. This lesson that we're about to do is not actually on your quiz tomorrow. Okay, now we're going to be using those skills today, so you'll still get to practice what will be on the quiz tomorrow, but don't panic about this being on there because it's not. Okay, all right, so we are on lesson 7-4, so let me get my book for us. Uh-oh, that's the wrong year. Yeah, wrong year. Unit 2 book. I did go back and look at the Delta math. I remember last week I kind of went and did a review. It looked much better the second time, so that made me feel good. Glad that we did that. I hope you are understanding. Here we are, 7-4. Okay, here's the difference in what we have been doing versus what we are about to do. So what we have been doing is setting it equal to 0. Okay, so it's been equal to 0, which means that anytime something is equal, even if it's linear, David, y'all put those phones up, everybody with me. Everybody's with me. We're learning right now. We're engaged. We're learning. Okay. When it's equal, that means it is for sure going to be that solution. Christian, take those headphones out. My turn. Okay. So like if your answer is x equals 2, that's it. It equals 2. Not 2.5, not 3, not 1. It's 2. X equals 2. So previously we got 2 solutions. X equals 2 and x equals 4. That meant your parabola, well, I used 2 and 4, so ignore this dot. So that means your parabola looks something like that. Okay, so it crosses the axis at 2 single points. Well, we're changing that to having an inequality sign. Now it's less than or greater than. When you do that, think back to Algebra 1. If you had a linear equation, y is less than x plus 6. Okay, so you'd 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 would be your y-intercept. We have a positive slope. Okay, actually the line should be dashed. Do you remember that? If it was not equal to, you had to have a dashed line. We'll go ahead and put the line there so it is a solid line. So it's less than. If it's less than this, remember you shaded below the line. Do you remember that? The less thans include the shadings. Okay, well, same thing with quadratic. Now, if it's less than, you would be shading everything on the outside of that. Okay, if it was greater than, you'd be shading everything inside of that. So we're still dealing with the shading. Now, this lesson doesn't require us to actually do that and physically draw the parabolas and do the shading, but that's what's happening behind the scenes. Okay, so when we get our solution, it's no longer going to be just the 2 places that it crosses the x-axis. Those are still important to us. okay? Because that's going to be the range. That's going to be like the minimum and the maximum. It's either going to be everything in between that, shaded in between this, or this would be our minimum and maximum, everything on the other sides, okay? So when we do this, we still factor just like normal. We still set them equal to 0, set them equal to 0. The only difference is now we have to put them on a number line, okay? So they go on just a single number line, and then we have to figure out, do we want these values to be less than, greater than? Do we want them to be included? And I'm going to teach you how to make that decision, okay? So ultimately, your final answer will look something like this. You're still going to have your two solutions. You'll still have the -2, you'll still have the 3, but you're going to have some type of symbol. It's either going to be less than or greater than. Now, do remember, I kind of just grazed over this, but if your symbol is simply a less than or greater than, that means it's not including that point, okay? So you have an open circle. If we were graphing this out, if we're physically going to graph out our parabola, it would have a dashed line, okay, because it's not included, okay? If it is equal to, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, your dot will be filled in and will be solid, and your line or the curve of your parabola would also be solid. So those are just some kind of rules that if you don't remember that from Algebra 1, just kind of get that back into your head, especially this. This is what we're going to be doing today. We won't actually be physically drawing out the parabolas, but if we were, that would be the situation. Okay? Everybody okay with that? All right, let's work a problem. We're going to go to try these A, and we're going to do this together. Try these A. Remember, if I'm writing, you're writing. Everything that I'm doing, you're doing in your book. That's how you're getting credit for your notes today, okay? So if we look at this, they want us to find the solutions for 2x squared plus x minus 10, okay? Now, I'm going to just come and bring that over here. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to first of all set it equal to 0. Setting it equal to 0 is going to allow me to solve and find my solutions. Then I will figure out whether it needs to be less than or greater than. Okay? Now, this one has a 2 as my A. So this one requires slip and slide. Remember, some of them do, some of them don't. If there's a number in front, it does. So we slip that 2 over. Doing slip and slide. That leaves me with x squared plus x minus 20. Everybody still with me? I need the factors of -20 that give me a sum of 1. Who's it going to be? Good, 4 and 5. But who needs to be negative? Good, because we want it to be a positive 1, so you want the 4 to be negative. Everybody still with me? We have, oh wait, I didn't do my box. Have y'all learned yet that you don't have to do the box? Do you know that you can just jump straight to those factors? Okay. The more and more confident you get, the less you need the box. The box is more of just like a teaching tool to help students get it right. But since this is going to be a -4, we can just put -4. This is a +5. We can just put +5. Okay. Now we did the slip part. Now we have to do the slide. We need to divide each of those by 2. That's why we call it slip and slide. You got to do both parts. Now, what's -4 divided by 2? Good, so it's going to be x minus 2. And then over there, x plus 5 divided by 2 is going to be 2x plus 5. This will be on your test tomorrow. Everything that we're doing right here, this is going to be on your quiz tomorrow. It is multiple choice, but you still need to be able to do this skill. Okay? Now, from here, how do I get each of the solutions? That's right. Set them both equal to 0. And x equals positive 2. That's right. Subtract that 5. Divide by 2. So x equals negative 5 over 2, which is the same thing as x equals negative 2.5. Either of those is okay. It's a good strong decimal, so it's okay to use that decimal in this case. If it was like 0.3333, we wouldn't want to use that. Okay, but this one's okay. Okay, that's the old way. That's what you do if it says equals. The problem is, though, this one does not say equals. It says less than. Well, does it say equal to? Did I just cover that up? Yeah, she's right. It says equal to. So less than or equal to. So what we need to do is we need to figure out which way this is going to go. So we've got our number line, or we could use this one. This is perfect. So we've got an open or closed circle on 2. It's closed because it's equal to. So I'm closing that in. And then we have negative 2.5. That would be in between 2 and 3. Okay. Now, here's the way that I teach to do this, because this right here that they have up here, that's not cool. That's crazy. No one's putting no plus and minus. I'm not doing it. Okay. So this is how I teach to do it. You test 0. By testing 0, what I mean is you plug that into your original problem. It's easy because it's 0. It's going to end up canceling almost everything out. So you've got 2 times 0 squared plus 0 minus 10 is less than or equal to 0. If it's true, you shade where 0 is. If it's false, you don't shade 0. So what's 0 squared? Times 2 plus 0. So that's gone. The only thing you have left is negative 10 is less than or equal to 0. Is that true or false? It's true. So since this is true, we need to shade where 0 is. So 0 is in between, so we shade in between. Now then, you think about each one. We think about this 2.5, negative 2.5. Is x going to be greater than that or less than that? Isn't it going this way? So it's greater than that, okay? And this 2 right here, it's going to be what? It's less than 2. If that happens and it's sandwiched together, you put your x in the middle, surround it with the less than symbols, and if it's equal, put your equal. And that's your answer. If it's together, if it's sandwiched together, you write your symbol just like that. Put your minimum, your maximum. You'll always put your less than symbols, because if I read from x, if I start with x, see how the alligator's going toward the x? X is greater than or equal to negative 2. X is less than or equal to 2. Okay, so it's written weird, but that's how they write it on the ACT. Okay, so if you're going to see something like this and it's sandwiched in between them, then it looks like this. When it's like this, this example was not sandwiched in together. Okay, so these were going away from each other, which is why you have 2 statements. with the word or in the middle. So that is an or statement, means it could go this way or it could go this way. Versus when it comes together, it's an and statement because they share everything in the middle. Make sense? Kinda? Cool. Let's try another one. Let's look at B. B is a very basic problem. It does not require slip and slide. Do you notice that? So we're just jumping straight to the factors. What are the factors of -4 that give you +3? Okay, who needs to be negative? Good. -1 times 4 gives you -4. -1 plus 4 gives you 3. So remember, this is when we made our box. Like I just said, if you've already got it figured out and you don't need a box, that's fine. For those of you that like the box and are still using the box, this is where we would use it. Here you would put -1x and there you'd put 4x, or vice versa. Either way. Take out your greatest common factor, which this is a x. This is going to be 4, which we want to be positive. This is going to be x. This is going to be -1. That's a 4. It's going to like mess everything up. Again, if you've got that and you don't need the box, then it's okay to not have that, but that's there for those of us that like it. X plus 4, x minus 1. There's no slip and slide. There's nothing else we need to do. So how do I get my answers? Good. Set both of these equal to 0. Okay. Good, because you got to subtract 4 on both sides, so x equals -4. Then you have to add 1, so x equals 1. Those are our solutions. They didn't give you a number line, but you're going to draw a number line. Now, you want 0. Always put your 0. And then over here, we've got -4. Over here, we've got 1. I keep mine like super basic, super simple. I just have my 0 on there, put the negative on the negative side, the positive on the positive side. If you want it to be more in depth, go for it. Knock yourself out. Now, are we going to have open circles or closed circles? Why open? Good. Go back to your original problem. It is just simply less than. So I'm going to have an open circle at -4 and an open circle at +1. How do you figure out which way to shade? Test 0. Okay, so go to your original problem. You plug in 0. 0 squared, 3 times 0 minus 4 is less than 0. What happens to the whole first part of your equation? So you're left with -4 is less than 0. Is that true or false? It's true. So where do we shade? In the middle. So your answer is going to be sandwiched together because you're sharing everything in the middle. Your minimum is -4. Your maximum is 1. You put the x in the middle. Surround it with the less than signs. Do we make this one equal to? That's it. If you can factor and you know how to factor, this isn't that hard. If you're still struggling with factoring, that's where you're going to have to go back and figure that out. Okay, it's all over YouTube, tons of videos on factoring. You have the Delta math practice. You can keep practicing those problems. So there are a lot of ways for you to figure out the factoring. That's the hardest part. Once you've got the factors in, then it's just, you know, figuring out which way to shade, which you can totally do by testing zero. Y'all want to try C on your own or want me to do that one with you? On your own? Okay, y'all try C. I'm going to give y'all a head start, and then I'll catch up. All right, did you get -2 and +5/3? Okay, if you can do that, then you're good with factoring. Okay, and that's the hardest part. Then I put those on a number line. 5/3 is 1 2/3, or 1.6 repeater. So I put that kind of closer to 2, but that's not that big of a deal, y'all. Like, don't get too caught up with that. And then I plugged in 0 to test 0, and I got a false outcome. -10 is not greater than 0. That's false. So what do you do when it's false? You do out. Okay, so you go out. We're not shading where 0 is. We go out. Okay, and you'll notice I was closed circles because it's equal to. So now when you write this, you write them separate. We don't sandwich it together. We write them separate. We're going to have two statements. This one's -2. Is x less than or equal to -2, or is x greater than or equal to -2? So less than or equal to, or put the word or, because you've got two options. It's either less than that, or it's going to be what than 2? Greater than or equal to 2. And that is your answer. It's not 2. It's not 2. I'm sorry. What is it supposed to be? 5/3. Thank you, Katie. That would have been bad. That's really important. I just put 2 because that's what was on the number line, but it's not 2, y'all. It's 5/3. Thank you. All right. Does that make sense? That's what this lesson's all about. Okay, now remember, this is not on the quiz tomorrow. There's not going to be any shading and all that's not on the quiz. It is going to be graphing. You will be doing the graphing. You'll have like graphs to pick from, A, B, C, and D. So you want to go back over graphing, make sure you realize how to do that. Then you will, you also will have Desmos. So if you want to play around with Desmos tonight and work with that, you could also use that on your quiz tomorrow because it will be on your computer. And then factoring, just basic factoring where you'll have parentheses, not equal to 0. Your answers will be in parentheses. And then you will have ones where you do go ahead and solve those out. Okay, so that's what your quiz will be on tomorrow. So it's not a big test, but it is a quiz over this lesson on quadratics. Any questions for me? Okay, you do have a couple homework problems from this specific lesson, so let me give those to you. It's going to be on page 118. You are going to do 11, 12, and 13, just those three. 11, 12, and 13. That's what you're submitting to me. Okay, if you did all your notes in class, you're good to go with that. You're submitting those 3 problems to me on Canvas. Yeah. Sure. Do what, babe? Do I have to do them online? Oh, yes. Yes. Hey, make sure you do a number line. Okay, on those 3 problems, make sure you show your number lines. Basically, you'll be doing this. You don't have to do the box if you don't want to, but pretty much everything else. Okay? Yes.